It sounds like you've been through a lot lately, especially after you stopped taking that Lexapro.
Yeah, it's tough when things get that intense.
It is that feeling of urgency, like you have to act immediately,
Yeah.
and then getting let go from those 3 jobs and the impulsivity and aggression.
Yeah,
It's a lot to deal with.
for sure.
So we're here to try to make sense of what happened, maybe help you figure out how to move forward from here.
Absolutely.
What do you think? Could this be what they call dysphoric mania or mixed mania?
That's really interesting because it sounds like what you're describing lines up with that.
Okay.
So dysphoric mania or mixed mania, it combines the energy and impulsivity you see in mania, but it's got this like heavy dose of negative emotions like fear, irritability.
So it's not like a happy, excited kind of drive to do things.
Right, right. It's not that.
Okay.
It's more like you're being pressured,
Wow.
almost like a feeling of impending doom pushing you to act. Even if those actions end up being reckless or even harmful, and stopping Lexapro suddenly, especially since it affects the serotonin in the brain,
Right.
it can sometimes trigger exactly this kind of dysregulated state.
Okay, so let's break this down a bit.
Yeah.
When we talk about serotonin, that's a neurotransmitter. It's a chemical messenger in the brain, and it plays a role in mood regulation. And Lexapro is an SSRI,
Right.
a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor,
Exactly.
which essentially increases the amount of serotonin in your brain.
Exactly. And so when you stop taking an SSRI abruptly, your brain's got to adjust to this sudden drop in serotonin levels,
Right.
which can lead to, a whole cascade of effects, including this rebound overactivity that we see in dysphoric mania.
And that might explain why you felt like you always had to act, even if it went against, like, your better judgment.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we look at some examples, from your experience, you mentioned bypassing your boss at work to enforce your own beliefs, even though it wasn't really your place to do that. That speaks to that impulsive side of mania.
But it also sounds like you were experiencing a lot of fear.
Right.
You talked about feeling obsessive and paranoid, like work was a trap, and you needed to prevent something bad from happening.
Right, and that's the dysphoric part of this whole equation. So the high energy and drive are there, but they're fueled by anxiety, fear, and a sense that something's terribly wrong.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like your brain is stuck in crisis mode.
Really?
Yeah, constantly sounding the alarm, even if there's no real danger.
Which makes it even harder to think clearly and make good decisions.
For sure. It's like trying to drive a car with a faulty engine and a blaring alarm system going off at the same time.
Oh my God.
It's no wonder things spun out of control.
Right.
Leading to those, unfortunate situations at work that you mentioned. And it's important to remember that this reaction to Lexapro withdrawal, while it sounds extreme, it isn't entirely unheard of, especially with what you shared about your history of mood swings. Some people's brains are simply more sensitive to these types of medications.
That makes sense.
And that lingering feeling that you described, like something is still wrong.
Yeah.
It's actually a natural consequence of your brain trying to find its footing.
Oh, yeah.
After such an intense period of dysregulation, like it's the aftershocks of an earthquake,
I see.
things are still settling down.
So even though the most intense part is over, you're still feeling those effects of that upheaval.
Exactly. And understanding that can be really helpful because it means you're not, broken or permanently damaged. Your brain is simply recalibrating after being thrown off balance.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better.
Good.
So how do you start to manage those must-act now
Mm.
impulses? It sounds like they're still causing some trouble.
Well, one thing that can help is to consciously delay any radical actions
Okay.
by at least 24 hours.
Okay.
And that gives you time to, step back, assess the situation,
Right.
and really see if it's truly urgent or if it just feels that way.
That makes sense. But is 24 hours always realistic? Like when you're in the grip of that urge?
You're right. It's not always easy, but delaying for a few hours or even minutes, can make a difference.
Right.
It's about creating just that little bit of space between the impulse and the action.
Like hitting the pause button, give yourself a chance to, breathe,
Exactly.
think things through.
Exactly. And while you're hitting that pause button, try mentally labeling those urges as false alarms, leftover signals from your brain's crisis mode.
Oh, that's a good way to reframe it.
Like saying, hey, brain, I know you're trying to protect me, but this
Yeah.
isn't an emergency.
Yeah, your brain is still on high alert, even though the danger has passed.
Precisely. And another thing that can be really helpful is focusing on taking small, structured actions instead of those big sweeping changes that often come with those must-act-now impulses.
So instead of feeling like you need to overhaul your entire life, break it down into like manageable steps.
Exactly. Let's say you have this sudden urge to quit your job and move to a new city.
Right.
Instead of making that drastic leap, maybe start by exploring some online courses
Okay.
or networking opportunities related to, a new field you're interested in.
So it's like dipping your toes in the water before, like diving headfirst into the deep end.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important point. Don't be afraid to reach out for support.
Yeah?
Talk to someone you trust.
Okay.
A friend, a family member, a therapist, or even a support group. Sometimes just having another person's perspective can help you ground yourself and avoid those impulsive overcorrections.
It's about building that network of support, knowing that you don't have to go through this alone.
Absolutely. And speaking of support, you also brought up something really important.
Yeah.
The role your cousin and psychiatrist played in your decision to start taking Lexapro in the first place.
Right.
You mentioned your cousin was pretty persistent in suggesting you try an antidepressant, and your psychiatrist ultimately left the decision up to you.
It's been weighing on me. On one hand, I was really struggling. I wanted to feel better. But looking back, I wonder if I truly understood, like, the potential risks,
Yeah?
especially with my history of mood swings. It feels like I was thrown into the deep end without really knowing how to swim.
I hear that. And, it sounds like there might have been a gap in informed consent there.
Okay.
While your cousin might have had good intentions, they weren't a medical professional. They couldn't have known how Lexapro would affect you specifically.
Right. They kept saying things like, it's just a little pill, it can't hurt. But clearly it wasn't just a little pill for me.
And as for your psychiatrist, while ultimately, the decision to take the medication rested with you, they had a professional responsibility to fully explain the potential risks and benefits, especially given your history.
Just frustrating. I told them about my mood swings, but they didn't seem too concerned. Looking back, I wish they'd been more cautious. Maybe considered like a mood stabilizer alongside the Lexapro or.
Yeah, it sounds like there might have been a missed opportunity there to explore other options.
Yeah.
And to more thoroughly assess, the potential for adverse reactions.
It's all so complicated. I don't want to blame anyone, but I also can't help but feel like things could have been handled differently.
It's understandable to feel that way, but it's important to remember that you were seeking help and you trusted the advice of medical professionals.
Hmm.
It's not your fault that you didn't have the specialized knowledge to predict this outcome.
Okay, that's reassuring to hear. But moving forward, how can I make sure that I'm making informed decisions about my mental health care?
That's a great question, and it leads us to some really important takeaways from this whole experience.
Okay.
The first is recognizing that your brain has a particular sensitivity to SSRIs.
Right.
This knowledge is incredibly valuable moving forward.
So I basically need to proceed with caution when it comes to psychiatric medications.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you ever consider taking any psychiatric medications in the future, whether it's an antidepressant or something else entirely, slow and gradual adjustments are key.
Okay.
It's crucial to work with a psychiatrist who understands your history and is willing to monitor you closely for any signs of manic symptoms.
So slow tapers, close monitoring, and the psychiatrist who gets it, that's like the trifecta.
Exactly. And another crucial takeaway is learning to trust your instincts. If a doctor is pressuring you to do something that doesn't feel right, you have every right to pause. Do your own research, ask as many questions as you need to feel comfortable, and even seek a second opinion.
That's such an important point. You are your own best advocate.
Absolutely. Advocating for yourself might involve researching alternative treatment options or even saying no if something doesn't feel right. You have the power to make informed decisions about your own health care.
It's empowering to realize that I have more control over my mental health journey than I thought.
Exactly. And that awareness, this willingness to dive deep and understand the nuances of your own experience, that's what empowers you to move forward with greater control and self-assurance. It's what allows you to make choices that align with your individual needs and sensitivities.
It's like taking back the reins and steering my own course, even if the road gets bumpy sometimes.
That's a great analogy, and it's about recognizing that you're not defined by your past experiences,
Right.
but rather empowered by them. You've shown incredible strength in seeking understanding, and I encourage you to continue exploring these areas.
Well, where do I go from here? What are some concrete steps I can take to rebuild stability and move forward with this newfound awareness?
Well, first and foremost, remember that your brain is still in recovery mode.
Hmm.
It needs time and space to rebalance after going through such an intense period of dysregulation.
Right.
So be patient with yourself and don't expect things to change overnight.
It's like recovering from a physical injury. It takes time to heal.
Exactly. And just like with physical recovery, there are things you can do to support your mental well-being during this process.
Like what?
Well, one of the most powerful things you can do is establish a consistent routine.
Okay.
Regular sleep-wake cycles, meal times, and even small daily rituals can provide a sense of structure and predictability, which can be incredibly grounding when you're feeling internally chaotic.
So it's about creating that external stability to help counter the internal turmoil.
Precisely. And speaking of stability, make sure you're getting enough sleep. Sleep deprivation can exacerbate mood swings and make it much harder to manage those must act now impulses.
I know I haven't been sleeping well lately,
Mhm.
but because of all the stress. But you're right. It's definitely something I need to prioritize.
Absolutely. And if you're finding it difficult to get enough sleep on your own, don't hesitate to talk to your doctor. There are things they can do to help, whether it's addressing underlying medical conditions, recommending relaxation techniques, or even short-term use of sleep aids.
So it's about taking care of the basics. Sleep, routine, good nutrition
Uh-huh.
to create like a solid foundation for healing.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of movement and exercise.
Okay.
Even gentle activities like walking or stretching can help regulate your mood, reduce anxiety, and improve sleep quality.
I've always been active, but I haven't felt much like exercising lately. Maybe it's time to dust off my yoga mat and start moving again.
That's a great idea. And remember, you don't have to push yourself too hard. Even small amounts of movement can make a difference.
So it's not about like training for a marathon. It's about finding ways to move my body that feel good and help me release some of that like pent up energy.
Exactly. And finally, if you're still struggling to manage those must act now impulses, or if you're feeling overwhelmed by everything that's happened, don't hesitate to seek professional guidance
Right.
from a therapist or counselor. They can provide support, coping strategies, and help you process everything you've been through.
I've been hesitant to go back to therapy, especially after my experience with my previous psychiatrist.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's probably what I need to like move forward in a healthy way.
It's understandable to feel hesitant, but remember, not all therapists are the same. It's about finding someone you feel comfortable with, someone who listens to you, validates your experiences, and helps you develop coping mechanisms that work for you.
It's about finding a true partner in my mental health journey.
Yes,
Someone who understands my like unique needs and helps me navigate the challenges.
precisely. And remember, seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It shows that you're committed to taking care of yourself and building a better future.
I'm starting to realize that. It's not about being fixed. It's about learning to like manage my mental health in a way that empowers me to, live a fulfilling life.
That's a wonderful way to put it. And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
Yeah.
There are countless resources and support systems available, whether it's online communities, support groups, or even just trusted friends and family members.
I'm feeling more hopeful already. It's like a weight has been lifted.
Mhm.
Just knowing that there's help available and that I don't have to go through this alone.
That's the spirit. Remember, you've already taken a huge step by reaching out and seeking understanding.
Really?
And that's what this deep dive is all about, equipping you with the knowledge and insights you need to navigate your mental health journey with greater confidence and clarity.
It's about reclaiming my power, understanding my vulnerabilities, and moving forward with a sense of like agency and self-compassion.
Beautifully said. It's about transforming those challenges into opportunities for growth, resilience, and self-discovery.
It's about recognizing that while I can't change the past, I can learn from it and use those lessons to create a brighter future.
Exactly. And that future starts right now with the choices you make and the actions you take. You have the power to shape your own mental well-being moving forward. Keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep advocating for yourself.
I will. This has been incredibly helpful. Thank you so much for like sharing your expertise and guidance.
It's been a privilege to explore these complex issues with you and to witness your determination to make sense of it all.
It's really amazing how much we've talked about in such a short time. We covered dysphoric mania and the impact of Lexapro withdrawal and even some practical stuff for dealing with those must-act now urges. But most importantly, I think we've really explored how you can, really take control of your mental health moving forward.
Yeah, it has been a really productive conversation. And, you've shown real willingness to dig into these complex topics and really figure out what's been happening.
And honestly, I think that's the biggest takeaway. Knowledge is power. The more you understand about your own unique responses to medication and just, life's challenges, the better equipped you are to advocate for yourself and make better decisions.
Totally. You've really learned a lot about your own sensitivities to stuff, especially, your brain's reaction to SSRIs.
Right.
That's really good information to have, going forward as you make decisions about your medication and mental health care in the future.
It's almost like having a roadmap now,
Yeah.
like knowing which paths to maybe avoid and which ones might make for a smoother journey.
That's a great analogy. And, remember that roadmap isn't set in stone. It can change as you keep learning and growing.
So it's a process of discovery, paying attention, and adjusting course when I need to.
Precisely.
Awesome.
And you've already proven you can do just that. You've recognized the patterns and you've looked for answers and you've started working on strategies for handling those really strong impulses. That's huge.
I'm definitely feeling more confident in my ability to navigate all of this. It's like I was lost in a dark forest and now I'm starting to see the light.
And that light is coming from your own strength and wisdom. You've been through so much and shown incredible resilience, and that same resilience is going to guide you forward as you heal and grow.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
I forget sometimes. It's easy to get caught up in the negative and forget how far I've come.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone. You've got a good support system. And you can always reach out for guidance when you need it, whether it's friends and family or a therapist or even online communities. There are people out there who get what you're going through and they can offer support.
That definitely takes the pressure off. It's like having a safety net knowing I won't fall through the cracks.
Exactly. And as you move forward, try to celebrate your wins. No matter how small they seem, every step towards more understanding and taking care of yourself is a victory.
It's easy to focus on what's wrong and forget to, appreciate how far I've already come.
And remember, you're not defined by everything you've been through. You are so much more than that. You are a unique person with strengths and talents and passions. Don't let these challenges, block out all the wonderful things that make you you.
I really needed to hear that I'm starting to feel like myself again, like the person I was before all of this happened.
And that person, the one who's been through so much and come out stronger on the other side, that person is even more amazing than the one who started this journey.
I'm feeling a sense of hope that I haven't felt in a long time, like a new chapter is starting, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
And we're excited to see you succeed. You have everything you need inside to live a life with purpose and meaning and joy.
Thank you for being here with us on this deep dive. We hope this conversation has helped you take control of your mental health journey and, given you a sense of hope. Remember, you're not alone, and you're capable of incredible things. Keep believing in yourself. Keep looking for the light, and never give up on your dreams.